Now here we entered some of the data. So this data we can make use for our development. So I'm selecting. If you want, like, you can do one thing, you can select one after one record and you can enter here. Now we can see here some set of records were available. So I want to find how many rows of records are available here. I am going to type it here. So let's start from ODI. So we can see here 14 records are available, right? All of the time, like, we are having 14 records are available here in this space. So now next what we are going to do is we are going to now data is available. So data got completely inserted into the schema. Now we can see 14 rows of data is available under our table. Next, what is the next step we are going to do is we are creating a new data source, data server and a physical schema from the database. So next step is for our project, after loading data, Next we are going to create a new ODI source data server. Logical Schema. So for doing this, after once you create a new database and a data store, what you need to do is you need to create a ODI source data server and a physical schema. Like so to create this, like what are the steps we need to follow, I'll explain it. In ODI, next we are going to move from designer to topology. So under the topology, we are going to create that new data server and a physical schema. For creating that, first we need to go to topology. Here we will have physical architecture as well as logical architecture. So under the physical, we are going to expand the technology. We will have all the databases, so many things, whatever we want to import, like we want to create a connections which are available here. Now here I want to create a connection for my Oracle. That means under the Oracle database I want to create a new data server. So I am creating here. New data server connection, I want to enter the values. That one, name I want to enter it as ODI underscore STG. ODI stage is the username which we are having under our database, and database instance or DB link name is the connection string which we are connecting. That means by default we'll have ORCL for the Oracle database. Next we are going to provide the username and password. Username is ODI space staging, and I just want to check it once. It is ODI underscore space staging. Yeah, underscore staging. And password is system, small letters. Once we create, first we need to test it. For testing, onto the left side top corner we can find an option by name test. Okay. Before testing, we need to select JDBC connections, and here we need to browse it and select the Oracle database related thing, and next we need to select JDBC URL, this one. Here we need to provide the host name, port name and SID. Host name is localhost colon, port number is 1521 colon ORCL. If you want to find these details, where you can go and identify these details for your databases, you need to go into the where we install our OBIEE, where we install our database. Here, once we go into the database localized path, that is app underscore product till admin, we will find the TNS names. Once you double click on it, you can find here which connection pool of your database we need to connect. These are the details which I provided there in jdbc.oracle thin layer @localhost colon 1521 is the port number and ORCL is the service name which I provided there. So you all can see here we provided with these details. After providing with these details, and the next step what I need to do is I need to go here and click on test connection. So test connection will be available on the top here you can see the test connection button. Once you click on test connection, so it will ask you to save the test connection before do you want to continue. Click OK. Once you click OK, this will ask you for register one of the physical schemas, no need of it, and just select your local agent and test. Test connection is successful. Okay. So once the test connection window appears, you need to click on OK and test connection will be successful. You can click on it once again. It will ask you like this, local agent, just select test, connection is successful. That means there is no issue that your Oracle data integrator is getting connected with your database which you install, and now it's clear that we are able to log into the schema from Oracle data integrator into the schema which we created with ODI_staging. The table where we created is under the username ODI_staging, which is under Oracle database. From Oracle data integrator we were able to connect to the database, that is relational database we were able to connect. So now this one got finished completely. And the next step what we need to do is, we need to create a we can see here now ODI_stage is available. Okay. Now once we click OK and once we create a connection, that will be get saved and ODI_stage will be available. Next step what we need to do, we need to right click on the ODI_stage data server and we need to select new physical schema. So here we need to provide the new physical schema. Now it is connecting to ODI stage schema. Okay, and here we will provide the schema name, the schema which we want to connect. So schema name is ODI_STG. So once you provide that, here also work schema also will provide ODI_STG. Once this one is done, you can see here naming convention will come with ODI stage.ODI stage. Now we'll save it. No context specified, it's not a problem because we will be creating the context for the logical schema. So for that, next step is we need to go to logical architecture. Till now like we have created with physical architecture under the topology. Next we need to go to logical architecture. So how this logical architecture will work, we will see. For this, I am expanding my logical architecture. Again I am expanding the technologies. Here I am going to my Oracle technology. Then we need to select new logical schema. Just right click on Oracle, select new logical schema. Physical logical schema is already done. Now we are creating a new logical schema. This one I want to create with ODI stage schema. And here we need to provide the context as well as physical schema context, what it is available from there. Here so here we can see ODI staging dot ODI staging, that is the physical architecture which we created before. That architecture we are going to link up with my logical architecture. So first we need to create the physical architecture and we need to do the changes, and we are going to connect to the database. Everything will be tested there in the physical architecture, and the next step we are going to create is like connecting to the physical architecture which we design in the physical architecture space. Now we are just selecting this one here and save. Once we save it, ODI staging will be available here. Next step, what we do to create and to design the next step while loading the data from a relational database to a flat file is creating new ODI source model. Next step is creating a new ODI source model. Like we'll be creating a new ODI target model that will be used within our ODI interface. Like to create a new ODI target model, we will be going to work on the following steps, like whichever steps I am going to create. So for ODI models will be available under designer. So again now we are going back to our designer. Here we'll have a models. So I want to create a new model. For that, here we'll have a models tab. Here you can select new model. So I am creating a new model by name. And technology is Oracle. If it is file, source is file, then we will select source as file. So here logical schema. Logical schema is ODI stage. And the next we want to do the reverse engineering. That means importing the data from So in this reverse engineering, we need to check whether the context is set to global or not. Context should be global. So we need to first of all identify whether the context which is selected there is global or not. In the models tab, once it is done, context to global and click on save button. So relational database management system 2 is ready. And the next step is, in the models tab, we need to right click on Oracle RDBMS and we need to select reverse engineering. Why we will select reverse engineering here is to verify that whether source salesperson which we created from the ODI staging schema and the table source salesperson, whether it is successfully reversed and explain model, like whether the reverse engineering done successfully or not, we need to select reverse engineering. So once you select, see it started with phase 1 reverse engineering source salesperson. Once it is finished, so what it will show we will see next step. So here once it is completely done, we can see once the reverse engineering is done, we can see our source salesperson is completely ready here. So source salesperson from the source database we imported into the Oracle Data Integrator environment. Here we can see columns. What are the columns we created there in our source system? Everything will be available. If we want to view the data, so how we can view it? Select view. Here the next step is, like after creating the reverse engineering, we can see our source schema got ready here and the columns are available under the schema. Now the next step is, like I want to create a new ODI interface to perform relational database table to a flat file transformation data. For that, transformation, that means creating new ODI interface to perform the relational database management system table to a flat file transformation. So how we are going to work on it, we will see. For this, we need to go to our designer. Under the designer, we need to expand our project which we created relational to a flat file. Under this, first folder, under this we will have interfaces. Interface is the space where we will be pulling our source table as well as target table, and we will be creating connections between source and target, and we will be trying to load the data from source to target. Here I am creating a new interface, clicking on new interface here, and I am creating here with a naming convention. This one is interface with export data from relational table to a flat table, that means flat file. So for staging area, we need to select ODI stage. Next we need to select mapping from down. Here we'll have where this is the space where we will drag our source files. This is the place where we will drag our target files, and these are the other things we'll see: flow, controls, everything. Now here we need to go to overview once again. Well, actually we need to select one option here. Let me recreate it once. Let's do the mapping. From source salesperson, I am going to drag and drop source salesperson here. And I am going to drag and drop from my files target salesperson, which is a text. I want to select this and I want to change this like this. Staging area different from my first we need to select the flow tab. Okay, actually it is creating errors. Let me stop saving it. Once again I'll create an interface. New interface. we'll use the source table, that is source salesperson into the sources, and next we need to use target salesperson into targets. Let me check it first whether we were able to select this. No. Next, let me drag and drop my target into the mapping, that is target salesperson text. Yes. Let me come back here, select this one. Once it is ready, next we'll select flow. Under this, when we are loading the data from source file, which is an relational database, to a flat file, one thing we need to do, whether we can use the old text file of our target to load it into the target space, or we can create a new connection like this trg rt to relational table to a flat file, where I used my target sales, which is a flat file text file. Now what I am doing, I am just trying to create a new interface here, right clicking on this, and I am creating a new interface. Here I am giving naming convention interface relational table to a flat table. And here we will see the mapping. First we need to select the mapping. First we need to drag and drop our source file into this space. Once this source file is available here, and the next thing we need to drag and drop our target sales.txt. It will ask you whether to map it automatically. We need to select yes, so that everything will be mapped readily. Seeing here, we were able to see here like this. Source salesperson trg to salesperson id, which is getting mapped. That means this particular sales table, source table, having a salesperson id, which is getting mapped with our target salesperson id. So in Informatica, normally we will be selecting all the columns once you drag and drop onto your target of your first column, how the columns will be mapped between your source qualifier and the target. The same way here in ODI, once you drag your source into the source space and once you drag your target into the target window, so it will ask you to map the source and target. Here what we are doing is, I am going here for the overview. In this overview, I will have an option, make it staging area different from the target, so that it will separate the staging area as well as your target area. So I am selecting this option, and this one I want to load. I need to select which one you want to select. This one, this project is under Oracle ODI staging, so I selected that one. Next, once we go to flow, we will be able to see the flow diagram here. First we need to select, now we can see here target file, right, that is target file generic. So first, once we select, we need to select incremental load, that is SQL to file account. Once it is selected, next is like from the IKM drop down list, we set like IKM option incremental file append, which need to be, that means from staging area we are going to load the data into the file, that target one is the file, that's why we are selecting the target file. So here you can see, once I drag this one, here you can see IKM SQL file append. So I selected here that option. And the next IKM options is like, what next IKM options you need to select is, for the target table, which is a flat file, I want to truncate the target file before I load the data from source. That means if target file is having already 14 records, what will happen? It will overwrite that 14 records, or it will add extra 14 records so that it becomes 28 records. The reason why we are selecting a truncate option here is, before my source RDBMS data gets loaded into my target, what we are trying to do, we are trying to truncate the target table and we are trying to load the data into the target. And next is like generate header. I don't want to generate an header there once again. So I am selecting generate header to false. That means I want to make it normally load data from source to target into my file. So I am generating header as a false. Next option, what we do is we will be saving the file. So do you want to log this? No. Okay. So my interface will not be get logged. And let me check once. If I check out this option, what will happen? Oh, it comes like this. So the source SQM to SQL, by default it will be like this, LKM to SQL, no problem. Like we can make it as overview and we can select staging area different from my target. Project is ODI. And select the flow, file generate, truncate table as true, and so once we done, we need to save this one. And now what I am trying to do, I am trying to run this one. Like once we save it, these kind of properties, as it is an ETL tool in Informatica, where we can find this kind of properties is, we can find when we are loading with the mapping, like once we design the mapping, when we are designing with workflow manager, another workflow manager, we can see an option called, like once we double click on the session, there in the target we can see these options, like whether to truncate the target table, whether to load it with something, like whatever option we want, we can make use of there. And here I want to run this one, so I am just clicking on execute button. So global local agent, click OK. So once it is done, session started, I want to go to operator, I want to check by date. Today this one got succeeded. You all can see here. So everything got completely done today. The workflow is done. This is how we can make use of loading the data from source table to your target table. This is how you can make use of a flat relational database data getting loaded the data into the target table. So here So this is how we are going to build an project for our development when we try to load data from a relational database to a target database. I hope like you all understood about this session, loading a data, creating a project from your Oracle Data Integrator using a relational database and a flat file target. Thank you. You all have